Hey, Tony Gaskins here, celebrity life coach, best-selling author, motivational speaker. Some of you already know me, some of you may not, but one thing I keep seeing every day in my Q&As and the messages that's coming to me is focusing on communication in a relationship. So as you know, I like to go live every day at noon to record a video for my page based on the questions that I received the day before or the things that I'm seeing most often. So a lot of times when I'm here on live, I'm talking to myself, but hopefully you can set the notification to let you know after it's been uploaded when I'm done so you can watch it. But understand this, you have to have communication rules in your relationship. I have a quote that says, communication to a relationship is like oxygen to life. Communication to a relationship is like oxygen to life. And a lot of times people say, oh, well, communication is not the most important thing in a relationship, but it actually is. And although you have respect and love and honesty and trust and all of those other things, all of those things are a part of communication. To respecting someone is communicating with them. If understanding someone comes from communicating with them, being honest with someone comes from communicating with them. Being able to trust someone comes from communicating with them. So everything, love is built through communication. So everything stems from healthy communication in a relationship. And I see this as I'm in my work as a relationship coach every day and reading through emails and DMs and messages about the breakdowns in relationships. And a lot of times it goes back to a breakdown in communication. So here's what you have to understand. You got to think about this, and in your relationship, every relationship is a little bit different. So you have to create communication rules for your relationship. And here are some of the rules that I have created in my marriage of almost 13 years that has helped us communicate. And I pulled these rules from all over. Studying business, working in behavioral science, and I put them all together. And I utilize these rules in my relationship. The first thing that you have to understand is that you must seek to understand. So write that down. Seek to understand. And if you're watching this while you're driving or something like that, make sure you watch it again later. Seek to understand. And the importance of seeking to understand is you are putting their lenses on your eyes and you're looking at life through their lens, through your partner's lens. And the benefit of that is now you get to feel like they feel. You get to really take into consideration the things that your partner has gone through and experienced. And if you don't take the time to seek to understand, then you will assume that everyone's experience is the same as yours. But if your partner has been through sexual abuse, physical abuse, abandonment, drug abuse, any type of pain or trauma, even a divorce of their parents when they were young and coming up, every single thing that happens to us, it affects us in one way or another. Sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. But you have to be able to seek to understand, then be understood. And Stephen R. Covey wrote about that in his book on the 7 habits of highly effective people. seeking to understand, then be understood. And I took and I applied that to my relationship. So basically, in other words, walk a mile in their shoes, walk a mile in your partner's shoes. Now, after you have done that, and that's a daily practice, the next thing that you're going to have to do is you will have to take the time to look at the issues and then decide, do I address this now or do I address this later? So you have to wait from 1 to 24 hours, from 1 to 24 hours to address an issue. And the reason why I say 1 to 24 hours, and that 24 could be 48 or 72, but the reason why I say that is because if you are angry and it's a deal breaker and you don't take the time and you go to address this issue and you are steaming hot, it can turn into a physical situation. So you have to take the time to address the issue, but you have to know when you should approach it. So if at 1 hour you're steaming hot because this can be a deal breaker, then don't talk about it then. Keep everything cool, calm, and collected. At 24 hours, you check your temperature. If you're still hot, stretch it. 36, 48, 72 hours. But when you call this meeting that, hey, I would like to talk to you, let's find some time to talk, you can go into it emotionally intelligent and be cool, calm, and collected. Now, the next part of this is when you sit down to talk, that's exactly what it should be, a sit down discussion. So when you're communicating, you shouldn't even be discussing this in the kitchen. You shouldn't be in the kitchen discussing this, because if you're up and your energy is different, then you could end up getting into a fight. Y'all could end up throwing something. So you want to sit down and have full attention and be able to say, hey, I want to talk to you for this reason. So you sit down and you take turns talking. You take turns talking without cutting one another off, without butting in. While you are taking turns talking, you're seeking to understand, then be understood. And then on the next part of this, you are allowing your partner to express themselves fully. Now, the next rules here is no yelling, no cursing, no name calling. So when you put all of these things in place and you seek to understand, then be understood, you call the meeting to where you ask, hey, I need to talk to you, and you sit down to talk, and then you take turns talking, and you're not yelling, you're not cursing, and you're not name calling, and you are listening, and not to respond, but to understand. And then here's the key. After both parties have expressed themselves, it's not about arguing, so it shouldn't go to yelling. And when you are speaking, you have to use I feel statements, or a statement that is expressing what's on your heart, instead of using accusatory statements that is saying you never do this or you always do that. So understand that. And then in that space, now both of you have heard one another. And the last part of this is to take action. Take action. So if I express myself to my wife, it may be tough, it may be hard to hear, but then she says, you know what? Okay, cool, I got it. I got it. That's what you need. And I said, what do you need from me? And she tells me what she needs. Then I say, okay, I hear what you need. So what we do, instead of pointing the blame and saying, oh, you always do this, you always do that, we say, okay, I'm going to give you what you need and you give me what I need. We come together, we meet in the middle. And now what happens is, when you take action, that is where the love and the respect and the trust comes in, because you're saying, I know she has my best interest at heart. I know he has my best interest at heart. We love one another, and we're going to make this work. And so with this communication, write down your rules that you need to stick to. Wait 1 to 24 hours to address it. Sit down while talking. No yelling, no cursing, no name calling, and use I feel statements. Don't cut the other person off. And then after the conversation, take action. Hey, this is Tony Gaskins. Thank you so much for listening. I try to pop on here and talk to myself on live. Sometimes some of you can make it, but I know a lot of people at work. It's noon on a Friday. So I'm going to archive this. So if you're watching the recording, make sure that you're able to leave me a comment with other topics that maybe you want to hear about. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.